Okay, and we are live. Welcome to an episode of All Things Xbox podcast. Once again, I got Logan with me. Logan, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good. Today's been a great day. Got to see the groundbreaking of our new Coliseum downtown. Going to be the eighth wonder of the world.
Nice.
Super excited for that. Lots of good gaming stuff. All in all, pretty good. Pretty good week so far. How about you, man?
It's been a good week. We didn't do the show on Tuesday because, well, I got sick a couple hours before the show started, and well, let's be honest, the part of the preview was going to be a major topic, so might as well wait till it, actually happened. And honestly, bloody good show. Obviously, we're going to be talking about that during the show, and for people listening live, I was notified last week that the audio levels between myself and Logan are completely different. Uh, Long story short, I have two different audio sources going out. So if me and Logan sound the same volume, please let me know because people have let me know it's been Logan's been overblown. And Logan, this isn't your fault. It's my software because I need your volume to come through full blast so I can actually hear you.
Oh, so you give me that gravitas.
Yeah,
That's good
uh,
stuff.
but uh, but we'll sort it out. We'll sort it out. But I think it's fine at the minute. Just let me know in chat if anything changes or if gameplay or audio happens throughout the show. Because again, the software reset itself. It's terrible. But anyway, it's been an interesting week. Logan, what have you been playing?
Well, I finished up Requiem and absolutely loved it.
Nice.
Shocking to no one that it's probably my game of the year right now.
Oh wow.
Until I haven't played Crimson Desert, obviously. I'm gonna pick that up at some point. But so far, it's my game of the year. Just phenomenal. It does such a good job of blending different styles of Resident Evil into the experience. Like you have the action and like I am basically a superhero action figure guy in Leon sections versus the oh my gosh, I am so gonna die sections as Grace. And it's just really fun. Well done. Love all the characters. They did a good job of tying things all the way back to even Resident Evil Zero, like
Oh
all of
wow.
them. Like in her report at the end, if you read through all of it, this isn't spoilery because I'm not gonna go into details, but basically it'll cover like all of the Resident Evil games that are canon at this point, basically, and the events and everything. And so if you have missed Veronica or Zero or some of the other ones until the remakes come out, wink wink, that would be a good place to start, is to look at that. And just phenomenal game, loved it. Can't wait for the expansion to come sooner than later. I went ahead and got both endings because I wanted to see what would happen. And yeah, one ending is definitely bad ending, and then the other is very good ending. So it is dramatically different. And like not only in like happy or sad, but in how long it plays. Like the bad ending is like so quick. It is like, well, I bleeped up big time, and this thing happened. Versus the good ending is a something happens. There's another gameplay segment and then ending. And so I can't say enough about it. Besides that, I also started Disco Elysium, which is a award-winning RPG, and it finally hit Game Pass, and I already had it and it's a play anywhere. So I thought it was a good time to pick it up and start it. Man, that game is a trip. Like it is wild. It's really cool. It's like retro, futuristic, and cyberpunky, but also like Charles Dickens ish. Like I know that doesn't make any sense, but it it's just very interesting. And like you can build your character all these different ways to where it's like my character is emotionally intelligent or just like book smart, but is like wind would blow you over. Or you can be just this super shredded, like behemoth type guy, but you're dumb as a box of rocks. Or you can be all kinds of different builds that you make. And there's like different cool perks and abilities that you can unlock and choose to start with. Like for example, my custom build I ended up choosing encyclopedia as my starting perk, which is basically lets my character go like, "Hey, I know all these obscure facts and trivial things that who knew that the manufacturer of this random battery part in Germany in 1927 would be important to know for this subject, but guess what? It is, and I can use that knowledge for this." Stuff like that. And it's just really cool. I can't in good conscience recommend it to people that are struggling with like substance abuse like problems or stuff because that's like a heavy theme and your protagonist is particularly struggling with that. But in general, it's really good and I'm rather enjoying it, man. How about you? What have you been up to?
Man, I've been all over the place with my games. I've actually I'll talk about Crimson Desert in a bit, but I've actually been going back to Red Dead Redemption, the 4K 60 version. Um, yeah, 60 frames per second makes that game a hell of a lot better. When you use the Deadeye mechanic, it's just a lot smoother, way better experience. And also when you do the like the gunslinging challenges, it's just better. Having 1000G dedicated to single player, because I think the original had maybe like 300 dedicated to multiplayer. And let's be honest, I was never going to get most of those achievements. Like, as fun as that multiplayer was, it's not something I'm going to put a ton of time into. But yeah, that's been fun. Been playing Arc Raiders a bit more. I will say this about Arc Raiders: as much as I love that game, I think I'm going to give it a break. It's maybe it's because I just play a lot of single player games. I just need more stuff to do. Every quest in the game literally requires you to go to location A, find yellow dot on screen, press A. That type of thing. I know it is an extraction game. It's not really an objective based thing with a heavy story, but it's stuff that they can probably add. The new map comes out in April, so I feel sorry for the people that do want to put a lot of time into it and rank up a lot because you have to get XP. Basically, the way you get XP to rank up every week is different each week. So, like, one week you'll get XP by, defeating land based enemies. And the next week it'll be open X amount of drawers in a certain room. So, like, depending on what you're good at in the game and what you prefer to do, you can maybe go some weeks without getting any XP. And grinding in a multiplayer game is just something I just don't enjoy. But I do enjoy the base gameplay. So I can just play it casually. I will say this: the rat problem has gotten pretty bad in that game. Even in solos, you'll have people just like camping at extracts, just taking people out. Even if it's someone that looks like they don't even have good gear. I don't get that type of play. It's not really fun. But hopefully, it's stuff they'll get a hold on because again, they're making a great game bad, and that's just not something I want.
Nobody likes a griefer. They're the
Yeah,
worst.
and the problem is, it's basically the perfect kind of genre for griefers.
Yeah.
So like, if you're like me and you enjoy the game and you like playing solos, like I like talking to random people when I play the game. See if they doing a quest, maybe I can help them out. I've gave people items, things they needed. People gave me items, things I've needed. But when you have just these sour apples just stirring the pot, making it bad for everyone else, I just don't see how people find that fun. It's just like, why do people cheat in video games? I don't see how people can find that fun. Um,
It'd
but you're
be
always gonna
cool
have
if
some.
they could. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, continue.
Oh, I was just saying, like maybe a way around that is if the game devs notice people particularly camp in a region or keep causing problems like that, they could cause like spontaneous mortar fire or other things to land in these spots to things shaken up a bit.
Yeah, I mean they could do something like that. So like when you hit the extract elevator, you have the button. You have basically, I think it's like 30 to 40 seconds that you have to wait. The elevator comes up, it opens its doors. You go in, you press a button, and it takes like 20 seconds for the doors to close. The way they could get around that was basically if there's someone staying in a certain location outside of an extract for like X amount of time, like 90 seconds or something, maybe they could send in, arc enemies, the robots. That would be a good way around that, but they have to get a hold on it because extraction is a very new genre for console players, and if they're gonna keep doing this stuff in these games, then you're just gonna have less people play. Like 14 million people have bought Arc Raiders. It's clearly a bloody good game. I have not said basically a bad word about it. The bad things about the game are basically people, and you can't program them, not traditionally, but hopefully that's something they'll sort out. I've also been playing High on Life 2. That launched in Game Pass back in February. Great game, hilarious. I know some people don't like that kind of humor. For me, it's something different. I really enjoy that Rick and Morty style of humor. It's a bit brash, it's a bit out there, and honestly, it's pretty cool watching a movie inside of a video game. Because this one has 6 movies in it. There's also full trailers for like 80s American toys and stuff. Basically, if people like 80s American nostalgia, you're gonna love this game. It's got 80s written all over it. There's so many references. Like, I've never seen the amount of Easter eggs in a game as much as High on Life 2. Like, there's an item, and I don't want to say this because it might get the studio in trouble, but like, I'm surprised no one else knows about it. So there's an item in the game that acts like a Pokeball. And in the game itself, they call it a Pokeball. Like,
Oh, that's good.
like they do not care, and I love that. Literally looks kind of like a Pokeball, acts like a Pokeball, and they call it a Pokeball. They didn't have to, there's a Tamagotchi in the game. They just call it a Tamagotchi. They, unless they have the rights to like use these licenses, I don't know, but it's just a fun game, really fun game. In fact, there's a level where you basically get transported to a world with low polygon graphics, and all of the civilians make fun of you for having rounded edges. like they make fun of you as you're walking through this town. Like why do you look like that? Like where's your edges? Like it's like such a cool take on a video gamey thing. But yeah, that's a really fun game. We'll talk about Crimson Desert quickly. So I've been talking about Crimson Desert Online for like 6 years, right? I like to find out about these games like that nobody's talking about, that haven't really had any like marketing out there, and just get the word out there. And that was one of those games. But every time I posted about it, people would reply to me saying, "I think it's a fake game," because honestly, it did look a bit too good to be true. But it was a former MMO developer. They clearly knew what they were doing. They've made games before, and yeah, it clearly takes them a long time to make a game. However, this whole time I thought it was real. It's got lots of gameplay over the years. Like, if you go to their YouTube channel, I'm not even kidding, there's probably about 8 hours of gameplay. Might be a little bit less, but there's a lot of gameplay. Typically more than you'd see for any single player game. And basically, it gets up to the launch, it goes gold, and I think halfway through February, and all of a sudden, people begin to realize, hey, this is a real game. Everyone start talking about Crimson Desert all of a sudden. So basically, I'm like, one, it's cool that everyone actually, is acknowledging that this game exists all of a sudden. And two, like, I've been trying to tell people, this is probably going to be one of the biggest games, if not the biggest game of the year, outside of GTA. Anyway, the game comes out. It sells like 3 million copies in a week, which is crazy. Because in the UK, it's had next to no marketing. I don't know, like, is the marketing been big in the US?
Outside of Twitter, I haven't seen anything, but it's been everywhere on the timeline for sure.
Okay, so like Crimson Desert basically everywhere on my Twitter timeline, and basically I decided not to get it because one, if I for people that don't know, I basically maybe this makes me sound like an android, but I separate my spare time into lots. So depending on how much free time I have in any given day, I will actually change what game I play depending on how much time I have. So like if a new big game comes out like that, like Crimson Desert, huge open world game, I want at least 6 hours to play this game, like in a row when I get it. So like I thought, right, I'm gonna put it off a week, maybe two, and plus they'll put out some patches till then. And lucky for me, they've been putting out patches, and I still think this game looks incredible. And excuse me, it might end up being my game of the year. So I'm probably gonna get it this next week. Plus I've got another game to review, but man, I'm so happy for the studio because it's been called, it's not a game. People have called it AI slop, even though they've addressed the AI patents in the game and they're going to replace them with actual art. It's very much a gamey game with lots of gameplay mechanics. And I think, look, if you pick up a video game, big open world game, you want to be immersed in this world, you want something interesting, you want tons of gameplay mechanics. We don't really get games like this, right? You get Red Dead Redemption 2 in 2018, where it has 55,000 gameplay mechanics, lots of them interesting, lots of really like cool gameplay mechanics that make you feel immersed in this world. This looks to be, it's like one of those games, right? Every single clip I see, it looks amazing. People are discovering that, there's a mechanic in the game where you can shine the light off a sword to basically make a laser beam. And people have discovered that not only can you start fires with this mechanic, you can cook food with it. So if you don't want to start a fire, you can throw whatever food you have on the ground and use the reflection of the sun on your sword on the food. It's like such a wild mechanic out there that I love it when these games have these, I don't know what the term is, just like moments of immersion, where you can discover a gameplay mechanic that can help you, where the game doesn't tell you, and it just exists. And I think that's really
It
cool.
sounds like the magnifying glass with ants kind of thing.
Yeah, basically the same thing. And you can also use that mechanic to uncover areas that's covered in moss or whatnot. A mechanic that it tells you exists in the game, but doesn't tell you what you can really use it for. And I think that's really cool. And by the way, I've noticed game journalists have gone after this game, and I think I may have figured out why, actually. A lot of game devs, they like easy mode. Sorry, not game devs, game journalists. They like easy mode, right? They want their hand to be held, they want the yellow paint, and, a lot of game journalists in the past, they've complained when, like when Wolfenstein, the new Colossus came out. I remember Kotaku putting out an article. They were complaining because when you put it on easy mode, BJ Blazkowicz's face on that mode basically had like a baby's bib on and a baby's hat. It was basically making
clowning you.
Yeah,
for being
in
a wuss.
in the menu. And I just thought that was funny. It's like most people, like, they can laugh at. I don't know why. By the way, these game journalists, they have no sense of humor, right? Not all of them, but like most. Like, I always talk about how I'm a big scaredy cat with horror games, right? I will play first-person shooters, third-person shooters on hard, but I'll be honest, scary games scare the living hell out of me. So I'll be honest, I will lower that difficulty if I can on a horror game. I have no shame in that. I'm a scaredy cat. It took me 33 and a half hours to get through Alien Isolation. I might do a playthrough on stream at some point when I start doing streams, but let me tell you, it would be the most boring thing in existence, because that was 33 and a half hours of me slowly crawling from table to table, locker to locker, trying to avoid this alien, right? But I can admit that, and a lot of these game journalists, they're so far up their own arse that they're unwilling to admit that, hey, maybe I do need my handheld in a game like this. So they're complaining that there isn't yellow paint in Crimson Desert. They're complaining that the game doesn't directly tell you what to do 100% of the time. And I think that if you go back before 2000, games didn't really hold your hand that much. You had to wing it. The game would give you an objective, you do it. And I think too many journalists now, they have their handheld way too much, that they see a game like this and they have to pick it apart, right? IGN gave this a 6.
That's on brand.
Yeah,
6 or 7.
they gave Concord a 7. How?
A
How?
dead game.
Yeah, a dead game. I think they actually gave High Guard maybe a 7 as well, but like they going after this game, and I just don't get it. And by the way, these same journalists, they are going for bat when it comes to Marathon, right? They are looking at every opportunity to defend Marathon. By the way, this is me, tearing apart Marathon or say anything bad about it, but like this game that clearly isn't doing too well, they defended it. But I just think it's a bit weird. Crimson Desert, the gameplay looks fun. It has this gorgeous open world, interesting gameplay mechanics, and you have these journalists that, let's be honest, they probably can't play a game like a normal person, and yeah, they need to have their handheld. That isn't all game journalists, but let's be honest, we know the ones I'm talking about. Your Kotakus, your Polygons, and all that stuff. The pretentious, they clearly smell their own farts journalists. Bloomberg, that type of thing. But yeah, like I have every intention of getting it this week. Logan, you said you haven't got it yet, but like, what's your take on the whole like journalists clearly just like nitpicking the hell out of this game?
Yeah, it's what I call the San Fran blog boys. It's, just these people that are hoity-toity and kind of have a air about them, deserved or not, and they just go about thinking they are God's gift to the earth, and they have an attitude and an edge that is not warranted, and they want their cake and eat it too on everything. And like these same people that want a yellow paint in a game, which, I think is helpful personally for some games, like especially games that are like labyrinthian and you don't want to spend hours trying to find out where in the flip you're supposed to go.
Yeah.
But the same people who want something like that, they end up being the same ones who end up creating these Ubisoftification UIs where there's like 200 million icons on the screen, and you're like, oh my gosh, like what have we done? And it's super annoying. And them doubling as paramedics for Marathon is hilarious. And it's really eye opening and revealing. And the same crew that would, you know, town cry, studio closure, or an exec sniff their nose, or a whatever for one company or one branch of a platform, and it's quiet as a church mouse on the other foot. It's just you're not slick, okay? People get it, all right? It's not funny.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think once every year or two, like a big fantasy game comes along and it takes the world by storm. You had Skyrim back in 2011, and then you had The Witcher 3 in 2015. Then you had, let's say Elden Ring in 2022, right? Baldur's Gate 3 in 2023. I'm pretty sure there's some other ones. Dragon's Dogma was big when it came out, like Dragon's Dogma 2. And like I've thought for a while, like this is going to be the next one, not because I'm like Nostradamus and I can predict the future or anything, but like it has all the makings of a game that will likely be big. It's just meant to be a fun game, and I think that's all that these gamers want. And by the way, this is a bit off topic, actually not the same topic, but so Ryan Gosling, bear with me for a second. So Ryan Gosling attended a premiere for Project Hail Mary, and he said to the crowd that were about to watch the movie, like, hey, it's not your job to keep the cinema alive. It's our job to make things for you to go want to see. Right?
Amen.
Perfect sentiment, right? Vince Vaughn, in a recent podcast, he said that the reason why American talk shows in the US are getting less views is because injecting politics, like literal political talk into a talk show that's meant to be entertaining. Like, you get home from work, exhausting day, you put on a show to hear some jokes from some celebrities or whatnot, and then they give you a lecture for, I don't know how long American talk shows on for, but I'm going to guess an hour.
An hour-ish.
And like that's what people want. People just want to be entertained. And like, you have Crimson Desert, and this also goes into the gaming space. Gamers just want to game, to be entertained, right? Crimson Desert is a fun action adventure game. There's no message out there. It's straight to the point, fun game. And I think, most people want that. When I play a game like anything, like a big open world game, I just want to turn my brain off, have some fun. That's all I want. And I think that's why Crimson Desert appeals to a lot of people, because it is that. It's a gamey game. That's cool. And I think we need more of these things. And luckily, I think game developers are beginning to pay attention, which is why we're going to be talking about something related in a bit. But Crimson Desert, happy to see it succeed. And I think it's, over 3 million copies now. Wild. And, there's no day one DLC. There's no microtransactions. There's no battle passes. It's just a big single-player game. Will it get expansions in the future? Considering how popular it is, it wouldn't surprise me, but I'm all for single-player expansions. Give me more. That's all I want. Let's see what we have next. My God. Oh, yeah, if you're watching live, we don't normally do podcasts on a Thursday, so sometimes, the algorithm doesn't help as much. But if you're enjoying the show, please share it out. It's greatly appreciated. Let's see what we've got next. So Dying Light the Beast is getting a new update, and this actually changes the game. So basically, they're wanting to make the game more immersive for people that have maybe played through the game once, and give them a completely different challenge. So you're going to be able to go through the game, and it looks like there may be a set amount of zombies in the game, where areas just won't respawn with zombies, and loot won't respawn. So it's basically an immersion mode. And it looks super cool. So if you're one of those people that likes to play Dying Light on a super hard difficulty, or just want it more immersive, you're going to be able to do that. Techland support their games for years. And it's good to see that they're going to be doing that for Dying Light the Beast. For people that haven't played Dying Light the Beast, I highly recommend it. It combines the best elements of Dying Light 1 and 2. You have the story elements of 1, but you have the parkour and gameplay of 2. Super cool game. Look, you haven't played Dying Light the Beast yet, have you?
No, not yet.
Super fun game. And yet, there are volatiles in this game. A lot of them. And if people have played Dying Light, those things can be tricky. They are basically nightmare material. Next up, we have Ubisoft Redstorm. They had a bunch of layoffs recently, and it turns out they were making 10 games at the same time. Like, I'm not a game developer. I will never pretend to be, but I don't know how a game developer can just rotate the amount of different games they're making. Like, you have something like, Obsidian that can make 2 or 3 games at once. But like 10 games, is that what we're doing now? Bit wild. It also looks like Ubisoft is going to announce Assassin's Creed 4 Resynced soon. They came out with some official artwork a couple of weeks ago, but they've teased it a couple of times over different social medias such as YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch. It looks like they're going to announce that any day now. I loved Assassin's Creed 4. For people that haven't played it, it's basically the ultimate pirate game. Swinging from one ship to another mid-battle. The combat in that game is brilliant. Like, if you're going to have naval combat in a third-person pirate game, that's how you do it. Hell, we have a Yakuza game that basically took the same combat mechanic, and it works. But yeah, it looks like that's going to be announced soon. It's rumored to come out in April. And April's already stacked. Logan, I'm guessing you're going to be getting that, right?
Oh, yeah. Assassin's Creed remake? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And some other things I kind of liked about it. Revamped gameplay mechanics. So, like, I always complain about the lack of crouch in that game. I would be shocked if there's no crouching mechanic. You kind of need to in a sneaking game. Because if you go back and play 4 now, great game, don't get me wrong, but my God, you just instinctively want to crouch every time you sneak, and you just can't. It's so weird. But yeah, that should be announced in the next couple of weeks. Next up, we have Battlefield Hardline. This news came out of nowhere. So, as everyone was like hyping up Battlefield over the past several months as the Call of Duty killer, uh, weirdly enough, Battlefield Hardline is going to get the servers turned off and it's going to be delisted. That surprised me because Battlefield servers tend to stay up for a really long time, and like the campaign is still active. And you like Battlefield 3, for instance, the multiplayer is turned off. You can still buy the game and play it, but you can play the campaign still. But with Battlefield Hardline, they're just going to delist the whole game entirely. So it might be on sale at the minute. I'll have to double check. But yeah, delisting a whole Battlefield game because they're turning the servers off. I think that is the dumbest idea ever. We've talked about delisting a million times on the channel. I don't like it as a practice. If they need to turn off the multiplayer servers because no one's on them, fair enough. But if you have a campaign, why delist the whole game? It's bizarre. Logan, what's your take? Because granted, I know you probably weren't into Battlefield Hardline's multiplayer, but like turning off or delisting a whole game, even the single player, is just weird.
Yeah, yeah, I actually got a lot of thoughts on that because Ubisoft and EA are serial offenders on this. Like, they'll make games backwards compatible or have games up for a long time, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, boom, they're gone. They're delisted. Or they'll give you a brief window to get them and then they're gone. Instead of just, axing the multiplayer and letting them stay up. Like, for example, Bad Company 1 and 2, my favorite Battlefield games. They yanked them from the stores. Like, you can't get them anymore. I have them physically so I can still play them. I wish I had bought them digitally. But yeah, like, they could have left those on easy. Just the campaigns, the best part. They were hilarious. But no, you know, randomly a bunch of Splinter Cells and other games from Ubisoft would get yanked. Eternal Arms got yanked. It's a single player JRPG for crying out loud. That doesn't have servers. What are you doing? Like, it speaks to a bigger issue in gaming that I think it doesn't get talked about enough. Is I think the top issue, or at the very least in the top three issues in all of gaming, is the licensing problem. They make things too blankety blank difficult to keep listed or playable. Like, you don't see Godfather and Star Wars getting delisted from movie things because the game is 30 years old or the movie's 30 years old or has music or, you know, tracks or, certain things in it. Like, they keep those suckers up and everybody loves them and they're iconic and everybody can enjoy them. But oh no, I had a license plate shown up in a certain frame in this game, or a soundtrack song obscurely played for a minute, or there was a Coca Cola vending machine in the corner, or this studio is dead, so well, I guess we don't have a game anymore. Oh well. Like, get out of here. That is the most hat backwards way of doing things, and it is Clown Town. They have to fix this. It is a nuisance, and it is the biggest thing that is an obstacle to game preservation and growing this medium forward. Like, how are you going to expect to grow the medium forward if all the things people get invested in just get delisted willy nilly and it's for dumb clown reasons like that? Like, seriously, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it does seem to happen way too often. I just saw in chat Ubisoft does do these weird delistings, but like they do update that it's like randomly old games all the time, which is nice. But like delisting Hardline is just like, don't get me wrong, it's not the best Battlefield game. It's not the best. It's not the best. What do you call it? Like campaign, right? It's not the best
No.
campaign by anything. But come on, like at least let people just buy the campaign. Like they could literally put it on the store for like $2.99, $5.99, or whatever. Just have the campaign available. And like whether people like these games or not, like you have to realize like how many games from our past that I love, you love, people in chat love, right? That like we just can't play anymore, right? And it's happening way too often. You mentioned the Splinter Cell games. That annoyed the living hell out of me. Ubisoft just randomly delisted every single Splinter Cell game on Xbox outside of the 360 ones, and it's either Pandora. I think it's Pandora tomorrow that's still up. Or it might be Chaos Theory, but like you can't play them anymore. Like why? There's no reason to. You're not coming out with a fancy remaster collection. And like I'm pretty sure they weren't delisted for music license purposes. So like, why do they keep doing this? You know, Battlefield Hardline, I think may have had some licensed music in. Now that I think about it, but man, it's just happening way too often. Like I remember it was just a random Wednesday, and Enchanted Arms gets delisted, no warning. You know, and like there's a Jurassic Park collection, available on all platforms at the minute, and I think that is either about to be delisted or it already is. But like that was a $25.99 collection of old Sega Mega Drive and NES and Game Boy Jurassic Park games, right? And they had it on sale for what? I think it was on sale for just a couple hours on Xbox, and the version was only out on Xbox and other platforms for what, a year? It's getting ridiculous.
It's comical.
Yeah, it's comical. And by the way, wasn't the Jurassic Park thing a limited run game?
It was, in fact.
Yeah, like no wonder it's limited. Jesus, it's just it's happening way too often, and like we've seen it with some games that like it can be considered bad, considered good, or whatever. But like I always talk about the Transformers games, which we'll be talking about in a bit, right? You know, those came out in a time when I was big into Call of Duty. They are heavily beloved games, right? And like I know for a fact, if those were still available today, you'd have millions of people that would regularly play it. You know, your Mad Max that came out in 2015, right? It came out the same day or the same week as Metal Gear Solid 5, right? It didn't stand a snowball's chance in hell. But ever since, because of word of mouth, that game is fairly often in the top 10 on Xbox in the UK. It drops down to like $2.99, but like the fact it's usually up there, right? So like volume over time, that game's done well, and you can have that with all the games. You have Skate 3, a 15-year-old skateboarding game that's always in the top 5 in the UK, right? And I just don't see this. Like these companies need to relicense music. They need to do something because it's happening way too often. And considering like how many generations we are now into like the Xbox ecosystem, for instance, we'll just use Xbox as an example. Right, we have next gen. We're gonna have 4 generations of backwards compatibility. But who's to say an OG Xbox game doesn't get pulled at some point due to a stupid license? You know, maybe KOTOR gets maybe there's some license issue with Lucasfilm or something, and they have to pull that game. We don't know, but like it's happening way too often. And I know it might seem like I'm sounding a bit annoyed off a rather unpopular Battlefield game, but it's just the principle of it. You know, it's happening way too often. But yeah, it goes offline in April, so if people are interested in the campaign, at least it is in Game Pass at the minute. So if you want to blast through it, go ahead. And oh, by the way, at least they actually gave us some like acknowledgement, like way in advance, because Ubisoft's the big one. Like delisting games without any warning should be illegal.
Yeah, it's a punk move, 100%.
Like give us knowledge in advance. Put the game on sale. I don't understand, by the way. Maybe I'm cheap. I don't know, but like it does say weird how you have these companies. They'll announce that the game's going to be delisted, and they won't put a game on sale. Like I was going to get the Jurassic Park collection, but I'm not paying £26 for 35-year-old Jurassic Park games. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. That was overpriced, and at any chance to crap on limited run games, I'll take that opportunity, because they are a terrible company. But man, it's a shame this is happening again. Uh, you know what? I always say the old COD games mentioned as well. These games obviously won't be delisted, but like the original Call of Duty game, or which is called Call of Duty Classic now, like the fact that isn't backwards compatible and it was delisted as well. Like, why? Like, it's so dumb. Um,
That should be in a batch. If we get a 25th anniversary batch, which feels like we will,
yeah,
but if we do, then that one should definitely be in there. All the Activision stuff that they own 100%, and Bethesda stuff that they own 100%, and like that one, for example, it should be a shoe in. There are some that don't have legal hurdles that should just be there.
yeah. But we'll be talking about some BC stuff in a bit. You know what, Logan? You want to talk about this because I had no idea about it, and this is a kind of a popular video game franchise. True Crime might come back.
Yeah. So, speaking of backwards compatibility and stuff like that, for those who are unfamiliar, because Jamie and me are old heads, is basically there used to be an era of time when there were a lot of GTA equivalents out there, or like type games, like there was Saints Row and other stuff like that. There was also this True Crime series, which was Activision's take on it. And there was like True Crime New York, True Crime Los Angeles. There was another one, I can't remember what it was. But anyway, there's this well known modder and community member who has done a fantastic job basically porting True Crime Los Angeles to like PC and stuff, the original Xbox version, uh, potentially. And he's done a really great job, and it's just some dude with a passion for this, and he's doing it. And some folks reached out to him, and they're like, "Hey, this is really cool. Like, can we talk about it?" And he said, "Sure." And so they had an article in Pure Xbox about it, and he said that if Xbox wanted him to, he would be more than happy to work with them to help get that game or stuff like it up and running on modern PC and, Xbox consoles. Like, maybe if there's a issue with the backwards compatibility element of some games, maybe working with a modder or modding team that are really good at emulation and porting and stuff would be another potential way to get some of these games back and preserved. And I just thought it deserved the shout out because, again, this is another Activision franchise that they own in their vault of games that are rotting in a cellar somewhere that hopefully they bring back this year. And this would be a great choice, and it's just another option of a way to make it happen if they so want to.
Yeah, I mean, True Crime is unfortunately a franchise I never got to. Um,
hmm I was way too young when it came out.
yeah. There was two, right? There was New York and LA.
Yeah, and I think there was a third one as well. I can't remember where it was, but I know of at least those two.
Um, but then we got Sleeping Dogs because Square Enix bought the IP. Or at least they bought the game, but not the IP. It was a messy situation. But hey, look, I'm all for more open world city games. So if we can get that to come back, I know there was some breakthrough last year with like the widescreen mod. And doesn't True Crime LA or whatever it's called, the second one, doesn't that have like the biggest open world city map of all time?
It's rather large, if I remember correctly.
Just how you see those videos on YouTube comparing game maps. Like
hmm
True Crime is like up there with one of the biggest. Um, I'm all for old games coming back. I would like maybe that person to like reach out to Night Dive Studios because they have some magic when it comes to their licenses. Um, Yeah, the old PC game. Hey, hopefully it'll happen. I'm all for like more games like that. Oh, some news kind of just broke just now. You know what? We'll talk about this. Well, this kind of folds into the topic anyway. So there's been a bunch of studio closes, which we're going to talk about in a bit. Um, Now this is a PlayStation thing, but I'm going to mention it because Xbox did this last year. Actually, both companies have done it twice now in the UK. It looks like PlayStation's about to raise the price of their consoles.
Oh,
Uh,
Jim,
so
you left at right time.
yeah, there's a translation here. So the PlayStation 5 Slim Disc model, which is 650 euros. Oh, sorry, I'm reading this wrong. They've got the prices backwards. So the price in euros and dollars are about kind of the same-ish. So 550 euros is going to go up to 650 for the disc model. The Pro is going to go from 800 euros to 900. Wow. The PS Portal is going to go from 220 to 250. That's not bad. But yeah, price is going up. This is this has been a weird generation, man. Like,
It sucks.
like back in my day, consoles
Game
went down.
prices went down.
Yeah, crazy. Because I remember the PS3 came out in the UK. It came out everywhere, and it was like really, really overpriced. But like I remember in the UK, the 360 had a price drop around about the same time that released. And then it had another price drop when the Elite model came out, the black one with the 120 gigabyte hard drive.
Mm-hmm.
But like both consoles over time dropped in price. The Wii dropped in price. I think the Wii went down to like £70 at one point. But this generation's weird, The first company to do it was actually Facebook or Meta, whatever the company's called. They raised their Oculus Rift back in 2020, $100.
100%.
And I remember when that happened, I thought, this isn't a good sign. Like, and by the way, this is before people were blaming tariffs or anything. It's just, honestly, when companies start doing that during the pandemic, I honestly believe they did it because they could. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It had nothing to do with the market. It had nothing to do with tariffs. It had nothing to do with RAM. It's because they could. Right? All these companies, they just want our money, So when they start doing it, I just thought, oh, this is a slippery slope, and here we are, 6 years later, and they are still doing it. Still doing it. And yeah, the Switch model in the UK, I believe, went up at some point. But like all these companies all over the place. Like I just found out the other day, like the 5090 is going for like £3,000. like really?
3,000?
Yeah, £3,000.
Good grief.
Yeah. So like in dollars, I'm guessing that's around like 4,200.
Yeah, it's something obscene. That is ridiculous.
Yeah. Like
for a graphics card.
Yeah.
My gosh.
For people that want to get into PC gaming at the minute, man. like I know
God
Logan,
bless.
you got your ROG Ally last year when it came out, but if you were to get that now, I'm guessing that costs a bit more now.
Yeah, I actually think that I got that. I lucked out being a day one guy on that because I have a feeling the price of that, if it hasn't already gone up, was gonna go up. But we have new leadership now at Xbox, so maybe not. But yeah, if you want one, I would recommend getting one soon.
Yeah. I told Logan this story, but I don't know if I mentioned it live, but I will anyway. So the price of components in the UK especially has gone up way too much, right? So this guy wanting to buy RAM and storage for his computer. He's wanting to buy an SSD, right? So he went to Amazon. This is a true story. He went to Amazon to buy, stuff for his PC, and it was borderline £1,000 because of the shipping as well. So what he did was he got on a plane, flew over to the US, bought the components, flew back, and it cost less. Like, that's where we're at now. Like, it's cheaper to fly across the ocean to buy stuff in the US because we get like everyone's getting screwed over at prices at the minute, but in the UK we get screwed. So screwed. But yeah, so if people want RAM or storage in the UK, it might be cheaper to fly to the US to get that stuff. Who would have thought? Yeah, I know people that have bought like a new ROG Ally just because the prices went up. I know someone that bought the OLEDs Steam Deck because the price has gone up, and those are hard to get now. But yes, so the PlayStation's going up in price. People acting like it wasn't going to happen, I always laughed at, because like, look, all these consoles and pieces of hardware going up. Xbox did it, Nintendo's done it, Asus, Nvidia, all these products have gone up in price, but like none of it's good. People can meme on it, people can do the rage bait if they want. Xbox is dead because prices went up. Like, all these companies are doing it. It's and none of it's good. Unfortunately, did Brexit work? I'm not getting into that on this channel. Not with a barge pole. But yeah, it's a shame, man. Because I remember, like, even last generation, like, the Xbox One came out, it was $500. And then they unbundled the Kinect, and I think it went down to $400. The PlayStation was $400 as well. And then over the generation, like, those went down in price. They came out with Slims. Then the One S came out. That was cheaper. And now it's a complete mess. We're talking about next generation consoles, and then, like, obviously price is going to be a factor, but the fact that some people want to act like next gen's going to be cheaper than it is now, madness. I saw someone, I won't mention names, they were saying like the next gen Xbox is going to be $1,200 and the next gen PlayStation is going to be $600. That's what we're doing now. We're just making prices up. Whatever for clickbait I get. But yeah, PlayStation's raising their prices, but also they're closing down a new studio. And it is a bit of a shame. Logan, I don't suppose you remember the name of the studio?
I think it was like Dark Fire or something.
Yeah,
I'll look. It was the studio founded by COD Zombies
yeah,
veterans.
yeah. And we've seen it way too many times this generation. Like, studio closures happening all the time. You have Ubisoft, they shut down a bunch of their studios. They had huge layoffs recently. Sony's shut down a bunch of studios this year. Microsoft, thankfully, haven't had any studio layoffs this year. EA, they've had a lot of layoffs this year. But man, this industry is like falling apart, right?
You see Epic?
Yeah, right. So I saw the headline, but I didn't see the whole detail. What happened with Epic?
They laid off like 1,000 plus.
Wow.
And then like the CEO posts about it, and then he's like, all these lovely people are ready to be hired. Their resumes are better than everybody. This. It's like, go hire them. Which on one hand, that sounds awesome. It's like, yay! I'm glad he's sticking up for these people and he's supporting them and stuff. But then on the other hand, it's like, if they were so good and like all this and this, it's like, why aren't you keeping them? And it's just so weird. And the industry is just in a rough place. And you've got this Darkfire studio closed, and then you had Blue Point not that long ago. There's the Sony car thing, which happened and is gone now. And it's just a volatile industry.
Yeah, I mean, look, some things are going to have to change because, the next topic is basically rolled into this, so we'll just like talk about it a bit. But we've seen this way too often. You have, was it called Wildfire Studios, the High Guard developer?
Yeah.
Like they shut down the studio. They were set up for failure. Let's be honest. But like, you had this like massive AAA free-to-play game, which I keep telling people this. Some people react negatively. I think this could be controversial. I think development of new free-to-play games need to stop. There's too much of a lie. Like you need a game to be popular. You need to have enticements for people to spend money via microtransactions. But like, if you go into a lot of these free-to-play games, not even just free-to-play, just games in general, like a lot of skins are terrible, right? And by the way, I've never understood. Maybe it's just me, but I've never understood the point of buying a skin in a first-person game.
It's because they know what you look
Yeah,
like, Jamie.
like I've never once saw the point of it. Like, but I can see my own feet. Maybe because you can't do that in all games. But like, I've never understood the point. You know, like, oh look, like Fortnite, I can understand because you can be anyone from like Homer Simpson to Captain Kirk, right? I get that. But like in a first-person game, I just don't get it.
I can explain why I did for one particular skin
Oh
or
yeah.
something. It was really funny. I don't know why, but I was just feeling like being just a rage troll, I guess. And so I got that sparkly nail polish armor and the cat ears or
Oh
halo,
yeah.
and I put them together, and I went in there and I was murking folks. And I gotta tell you, few things royally tick people off more than thinking they're getting sunned by somebody in glittery nail polish armor with cat ears. And it was so funny. These people were getting so mad. But, like, I did that just for a laugh and because I thought it was funny. But in general, I'm not a big skin guy.
Yeah. You know, I just saw in chat a lot of skins come with gun camos. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Mhm.
Um, but just like the game industry in general is like kind of like messed up. You know, you have AAA games coming out at you know. By the way, Jason Schreier, who cares? Bloomberg dude, put out a post saying like, oh yeah, new AAA games cost $300 million. I don't know why everyone start referencing that post. Haven't we known this for years?
Yeah, the Spider-Man leak. Oh, but some people don't talk about that, remember?
Oh
Because
yeah,
reasons.
yeah. But like, it's just ridiculous. These games costing hundreds of millions of dollars. They have to be surefire hits day one. Like I'm gonna make up some random games that I know for a fact will be like big hits day one, even though they haven't been announced. Elden Ring 2, right? But the second Elden Ring 2 comes out and it's announced or whatever, that is guaranteed to be a huge success day one, right? Haven't seen a single frame of it, but it would be shattering records, right? The Cyberpunk sequel, right? Yes, it's kind of announced, but that's going to do great day one. Granted, if it's in great shape, and I'm sure it will be, but like just stuff like that. But like, unless you have a surefire way of like making bank, like a huge profit, I just don't get it. Like, I always talk about like AA games and indie games being more interesting because like these games don't cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make. They can do way more interesting and risky things. Because for the most part, the AAA space, it's kind of safe, and it has to be. And like you know, you have Sony that shut down that studio, and apparently they were making a single player game. The developers can't talk about it, but they said it was an interesting single player game. But like, if you have a plan to make a single player game and that game might cost $300 million, that game has to be an instant success, and this industry can't survive, right? I know people like the shiniest, newest thing, and they want the latest graphics to be like, you know, super mega realistic with ray tracing, 4K, 60 frames per second. But man, it's just not sustainable. I love the fact that we're getting new technology and it's interesting and stuff, but like something's got to give, right? All these studios are shutting down. I might be saying something really controversial here, and I'd be interested what chat thinks. I honestly think that the average gamer, the ones that, the majority, right? The ones that they only play Fortnite, they only play Apex Legends, They only play Warzone. Maybe FIFA. Maybe they are one of these people that buy Forza. Sorry, not Forza. They buy FIFA and Call of Duty every year. That's it, right? I 100% believe that they don't really put any money into the game industry, right? They buy 2 games a year. They might put skins. They might buy skins and whatnot. But like the people that are expected to buy the majority of these games, I like to call the core gamers, the people that buy dozens of games a year. Myself, Logan, a lot of people in chat right now, like people that like put a lot of money into the game industry, right? It's on us. And unfortunately, it seems like a lot of the I'm gonna make myself sound like an old fart here, but like a lot of the younger generation that only play things like Fortnite and free to play games, they aren't putting money into the game industry. So you have these developers making these free to play games, or we'll call it free to play slop, for people that aren't giving them any money. Like if someone plays Fortnite every day and that's all they play, and it's a free to play game, the game industry isn't getting any money. You have these what do you call them? You have these like analysts talk about how Grand Theft Auto needs to be $100 because it's going to help the game industry. Like that'll be the one game you have a lot of normies pick up because we get one Grand Theft Auto game a decade now. And like something has to give because you've seen all these studios shut down. I've seen in the past year, like a bunch of cool games announced that had somewhat decent advertising. Nobody's talking about them at all. Um, you know, like there's a game that came out last year called Blades of Fire, right? Interesting single player game. It had a demo, and that game, as far as I know, didn't make a ton of money. It was in a genre that a lot of people like. Excuse me. Yeah, free to play is a big problem. But like I just don't know. It's like something like Logan. What's your take? Because we talk about the game budget thing all the time, but like these studios are closing all the time. There's an over reliance on free to play monetization, even though like you aren't going to get the normies that only play one free to play game a year to play something else. So like they aren't putting any money into the game industry. Maybe that's an outlandish thing I've said, but that's just how I feel.
I agree with you. Like, to be honest, they have, you know, Phil Spencer, when for example, when he was still in charge of Xbox, once upon a time had mentioned, there's a hypothetical like 2 billion gamers out there or whatever, like some crazy huge number of potential gamers, and they were trying to reach all these people, da 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 da. But then, I mean, that all sounds good, but if you always are in the pursuit of more, 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 you start losing focus of what you have and maintaining the audience you have, the core, the people who are keeping this ship armed and operational and going versus chasing these, for lack of a better term, casuals. And it just causes cost to balloon. You're trying to make Fortnite money and Fortnite experiences when you aren't Fortnite, and you're trying to turn everything into games as a service slop or um, computer intelligence slop or just all this other stuff, and your budgets are ballooning, and frankly, it's not the consumer's problem that these people don't know how to balance things properly or aren't getting the idea or this are too dense to do something different. They just keep trying and trying and trying these fads and these things. Quit trying to make fetch a thing. It isn't a thing. And it's just it's really annoying, and they have themselves to blame. And if there is a gaming crash, we will look at this and look at these budgets and go, how is it that an indie studio with a dude and his brother in a garage is selling 1 million copies of a game and everybody loves it. And we are trying to make a game for 350 million dollars, and we're not selling even close to that or getting our money back. There's something wrong with the picture here.
Yeah, I've been trying to find this. Okay, right. So, um, now I'm about to make this topic about Mass Effect. Shocker. Um, so I was just wondering, so Mass Effect 3 cost $40 million, right? It has basically more dialogue than Mass Effect 1 and 2 combined. It's a lot of people always do a double take when I tell them this in real life, because this is something I'll tell them in real life because I like to bore people with my endless Mass Effect knowledges. Mass Effect 3 cost $40 million. If you adjust that for inflation, right? Big game from 2012. Logan, how much do you think $40 million from 2012 is worth now?
I would guess that a $40 million game from 2012 would be 120 million now.
57 million.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought it would have been a
I
lot
guess
more.
I'm going off the Happy Meals, I guess,
Yeah,
because things have
yeah. Oh, let's not
skyrocketed
talk
over
about
here.
food. That stuff's gone way up. But that is so 56 million for a big AAA RPG, right? Like, so where's the money gone into, right? You have these and I keep mentioning this, right? Stop having studios in the most expensive cities in the world, right? I know you're going to have families to move places, but guess what? I never see these AA studios in expensive towns. Ever. Right? Maybe that's just me, but I feel that these studios, they're spending way too much money, right? And also you have a lot of big actors now being paid for games, right? Like, look, I love Matthew McConaughey, right? Does he need to be a big role in Exodus that comes out next year? I'm guessing not, right? So voice talent, I'm guessing that's one thing. But and also chasing realistic graphics, that costs a lot of money as well. But
A license problem.
yeah, the licensing problem. To license a Marvel game, it's like $100 million or something more. It's insane. Just something needs to change. And like you said, the game crash. I think it'll happen. And do you know what will happen if there's a AAA game crash? You'll have the AAA games that were already about to release come out. Then you're gonna have AA games, indie games thriving, right? And then these big companies, they're gonna have to retool away to try and figure out how to get AAA games done, because AAA games are marketed way differently, right? You take a big Assassin's Creed game, or like the Arkham games, right? If Rocksteady were to come out tomorrow and market a new Arkham game, I guarantee whether that game looked like it came out 10 years ago or something that came out now, it's probably going to sell the same amount, because people want a new Arkham game. People love Arkham games. And if you tell people, hey, Batman, new enemies, new area of Gotham, go at it, they'll be sold, right? I don't think they actually sold on the idea of Batman, Arkham, whatever, to be super realistic, right? And by the way, if you fire up Arkham Knight, oh my god, it still looks better than most games that come out. Wild. Wasn't trying to be photorealistic, just a really good art style, and it just so happens that if you have rain in a video game at night, your game automatically looks better for some reason.
Wind Waker, for crying out loud, still looks incredible. The
Yeah,
GameCube game.
yeah, still looks good all these years later. And I've seen other people talk about this. Like, AA games need to be more of a thing from these big studios. I've been on that for a while. I think that AA games are perfectly fine. Like, look, RoboCop Rogue City. I've marketed that game probably more than the company that made it, right? But you know what? I love that game. It's photorealistic as well. It was made with a modest budget. The game characters do look a bit weird.
Yeah, don't look them in the eyes too long.
Yeah, whenever a human character pops up on screen, just look away, just listen to the voice. But like as a game, RoboCop Rogue City is a hell of a lot of fun, super fun, right? Double A game. Everspace 2, right? It's an amazing Starfighter pilot RPG, super fun double A game. You know, and like look. I don't know if I should say this, but if you look at a lot of Nintendo's games, right? Nintendo's big games are basically double A budget games. And I mean that in the best way possible, right? Like Animal Crossing, right? Animal Crossing, the one that came out in the Switch one, that thing sold like 80 million copies. I guarantee you that didn't cost $100 million to make. And guess what? That game and its following sequels are probably going to sell just as much, right? The over reliance
It made
on
what the people want.
yeah, the over reliance on hey, big, super open, realistic world. Have at it, right? I just think that's like, look, you're gonna have your GTAs, right? And that's obviously gonna break every record known to man. You're obviously gonna have, I'm trying to think like even like Blade, right? We don't know what Blade's gonna look like. Is Blade gonna have a unique art style? It might do, considering the concept art. I think it will, but like I want a cool Blade game. I don't necessarily care if it's realistic, Just give me cool Blade, weapons, cool Blade gadgets. Let me hunt vampires. That's all I want from that. But like I think the era of, and I blame last generation for this starting, all these games needing to be photorealistic, needing to be open world. And I think that if developers take a step back, start making smaller games, right? Because do you know how often we get linear third person shooters now? Bloody hardly ever, right? Which is why people celebrate the ones like, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Why people are looking at John Wick as in, as a video game. It's not going to be open world, right? We don't need everything to be a huge game. And by the way, if anyone ever sees me post about this on social media, check the replies, right? I always say that gaming needs more linear games. And in the replies, I always get people saying, oh, so you don't want that to be open world games. That's not what I'm saying. I say we need more of linear games, more hub world games. Just like not everything needs to be open world, and I'm tired of it. The reason we haven't had a bloody Splinter Cell game for 13 years is because they can't have a big open world 60-hour game that they can monetize for multiple years in a row, right? Think about it. Splinter Cell is a linear 12-hour game, and it's took them 4 years to make it, or remake it, right? Why? Why is it taking so long? The industry's it's just in a mess. Maybe it does need to have a crash to be born again, like a phoenix. I don't know. Like, is there a quick fix for it? Probably not. It's going to take years, and then it doesn't help that you have Nvidia pumping out that AI sludge, DLSS 5, where people are like, "Hey, this is going to fix everything." I bloody hope not, because that looked terrible. By the way, Logan, that DLSS thing happened just before last week's show started.
Yeah.
Did you have people in your feed like defending that?
No. Basically, everyone I knew said they wanted to bleach their eyeballs and that it was horrible and awful. And what have you done to Grace and stuff like that? And then also going in on Digital Foundry for what seemed almost like advertising for it, which was just weird.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens. Just the game industry's a fickle place. It is what it is. About an hour and, the timers actually keep messing up on my screen. So about an hour and 15 minutes into the show. If you're enjoying it, please hit like, share, and subscribe. We don't normally do the podcast on Thursdays, so the algorithm isn't all that helpful. Super Chats are live if you want to support the channel with all that stuff. I'll read anything out. And if you want a topic inserted into the show, I'll do that as well. But anyway, Logan, I've just been reminded, Nacon are having some issues.
Oh, yeah, speaking of RoboCop, yeah, it's a huge bummer. Like today they canceled at first I thought it was the games themselves, and I was like very, very sad. But turns out, thankfully, it's just physical editions. So
Oh,
the
good.
games are still being made, but they did cancel a ton of physical editions for projects they have in the works or have already come out digitally. And they have filed for bankruptcy, and several of the studios they own have filed for individual bankruptcy at their locations. And yeah, it's just a hot mess, but they are determined to get it figured out and fixed. They said they're not going anywhere. They want to get this right and be back. And they're not shutting these studios down or laying people off. It's just I have hit a real bind right now, and it's a bummer that that's happening to a really fun publisher that is taking risks and making these cool games like from old IP that we loved like back in the day, and also taking a fun double A spin on some other stuff. And like they even had a title, for example, announced at the partner preview, which we'll talk about later. But I really like Nacon, and
Yeah.
I hope this is just a Phoenix situation for them, and they're right back on it. Good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the double A centric publishers. Like I talk about Focus Entertainment at any given opportunity. But
They're
I like
so
Nick.
good.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
But I love Nacon as well. They put out interesting games. Um, Hopefully they'll see through it. But man, like the problem with these double A ones as well, double A publishers, like they don't have like a big live service game in their portfolio that just generates cash. Like EA, right? EA can literally float on the amount of money FIFA makes just off microtransactions. Makes me sick to my stomach, but that's how much money that game makes, right? Same with they make as much money with the hockey game and Madden and stuff. 2K, NBA 2K prints money for 2K. You know, there's even a pachinko machine mechanic in the basketball game. They've
I mean,
monetized the
they
living
get
hell out of the
like
wrestling game.
sneakers and all kinds of stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, but like the double A studios don't really have any games like that. Like like I said, I always talk about Focus Entertainment. They don't do live service at all. You know, like the games they put out, you buy them, you play them, you may buy an expansion or two, then you move on to something else. It's just one of the reasons why I love them. But yeah, hopefully these double A publishers can make it through, man. But just looking at that $300 million thing, it just kind of makes me sick to my stomach, right? Because sometimes I will play one of these games, and I'll be honest, I can't see where they spent the money.
You want to hear something crazy?
Yeah,
Is you talking about money, and I know we don't do sports a ton on this channel, but just bear with me. Um, $300 million as a quote, um, a, a budget for a AAA game. Like back in 2008, when our city bought the Sonics and brought them to Oklahoma City, they bought that whole NBA franchise team organization for 375 million something
wow.
back then, which would be billions of dollars now, basically, like how much the franchise is worth now. But just to put that into perspective, a game costing as much as a entire NBA franchise, top to bottom, everything is insanity.
That's wild. Wow.
Just to put that in perspective, that is insane.
Yeah, that's crazy. and and for 300 million, we might get a game that still doesn't work day one. Like,
Exactly, and we'll patch it, and then it will get shut down in 2 weeks.
yeah. Oh my god. I just see people mentioning Dead Space 2 in chat. Like that remake of 2 would have printed money. Like, what did they
I'm
think?
still very salty about that.
Yeah. Like, do you know what? Do you know what EA? A bit of a tangent. Do you know what EA bringing back Dead Space and then just leaving it reminds me of? Can you remember how Warner Brothers, when the pandemic kicked off, Warner Brothers came back and they filmed like some more stuff for Zack Snyder's Justice League. right?
Oh yeah.
And then they came out with the film, did well, got really good reviews and stuff. And then like 2 weeks later, Warner Brothers start advertising the regular version of Justice League for their app. Like, so you spend $70 million to reshoot like half of this film to do nothing with it, and that's what EA did with Dead Space. My God, uh, honestly, it breaks my heart just thinking about Dead Space because that remake is perfect, like actually perfect. Um, but yeah, this game industry's falling apart. But yeah, hopefully Nacon they get back on their feet because they do put out some good games. You know what? We'll quickly talk about Marathon because the show's getting on and we still have like 8 topics left. So, Marathon, a bunch of numbers have came out for the platforms and the amount of players on each platform. About 70, I think it's 73% of the players are on PC. 19% are on PlayStation and 11% are on Xbox. Most players being on PC doesn't surprise us because the extraction genre is just way bigger. But the total number surprised me. I thought this might have sold like 5 million units by now, just because of Arc Raiders' popularity. It turns out it may have sold less than 1.5 million. And it looks like it might not be making enough money through microtransactions because it does have a skin store. It looks like it might not be doing that well. And as we've seen with Bungie in the past, like several years, they're having a rough time at the minute. I would be shocked, and I hate the fact that I have to say this because I found out yesterday that Bungie has over 800 employees.
They do? Good grief.
Yeah, I thought it was somewhere in the realm of 300, but yeah,
Yeah, same.
over 800 employees, and like Destiny's expansions, whether people love them or not, like they don't sell a lot because Destiny doesn't have a huge influx of new players all the time, whereas other games do. Just because like the jumping in point for Destiny's super difficult for people. But then you have Marathon, where let's be honest, they were really leaning on that, and it looks like it might not be doing that well. Hopefully they pull through. But man, it's shocking because like I can only imagine how much Marathon costs because they've been making it for like 6 years. I'm going to assume around half the studio was making it. But man, I would be shocked if Bungie's still around a year from now. And as an Arc Raiders fan, I want Marathon. In fact, I want Marathon to sell even more copies, so it gets the studio together, Embark, get themselves together to like do something with Arc Raiders. Fix the problems, make new content. Maybe it's because I'm stuck in 2009 and I like the fact that we were getting Call of Duty maps every other month. But my God, 5 months in between maps is absurd. I don't care who's a fan of what game. 5 months in between new maps is crazy. But yeah, hopefully Marathon pulls through. Logan, I know you don't give a flying crap about Marathon, but what's your thought on the Bungie situation?
Yeah, it's kind of a lot like I kind of thought it might go. Not to be a hater on it, but it only selling that many in this amount of time since it's been out, and it wasn't like a full like price thing. It was even lower than like some AAA stuff that's out there now. And like for perspective, Resident Evil Requiem sold 3 to 5 million in like a 1 to 2.5 weeks. Like single player game. Like a horror game too. So take that for the people who say horror is niche. Um and then you've got this, a multiplayer game, and it sells less than it sells 1.25 maybe, and it's getting its launch money stolen and getting curb stomped by arc raiders. It's not good. Bungie has fallen pretty far, and That definitely, that 4.5 billion purchase isn't looking so hot right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, hopefully they pull through, but it's not looking good. I just think that game had everything going against it, right? You have the art thief, uh, and that going through for a long time, and thankfully the person did get credited and paid, I believe. But like that was going for a while. You have people who are just making fun of the art style in general. Although I like the retro futuristic look. Um, and it's PvP only nature. I think only lends itself to like a very small fan base. And honestly, Extraction, it's a hard sell for a lot of people. Yeah, you have Arc Raiders that sells 14 million copies, but you have to realize that does have a very casual element to it. Fighting robots, right? My first 2 months playing that game, I barely went and like saw other people, right? I was doing my own thing, looting and buildings that were far away from everyone else. But like Marathon's completely different. You have smaller maps, more intense combat. You have an intense PvP focus. Even the AI enemies, the NPCs, are deadly. Like they can wipe you out in no time. So it might be a hard sell for a lot of people, but I mean, we'll see what happens. Let's see what we've got next. You know what? Let's talk about the partner preview because we have a ton of new. Literally, we have about 6 topics left. We'll try and get through them. But yeah, so the Xbox partner preview happened a couple of hours ago, and despite what Kind of Funny Games said, I thought it was their best one yet. And I don't know why people from Kind of Funny thought it's a bad show. Like, anyway, I'm going to quickly go over all the games, and then we'll talk about it. Let's see where the list is. Okay, here we go. So they announced Wuthering Waves is finally coming to Xbox. People have been wanting this on Xbox for a super long time. Because didn't that only come out on PlayStation like a year or so ago? PlayStation PC.
Yeah, it's been one folks have been wanting for a while. Another waifu collector.
Let's see what we've got next. They announced Grave Seasons, which is a new adventure game. Looks pretty cool. Serious Sam, Shatterverse. I didn't expect a new Serious Sam game this time soon. This soon because it's been like I think it's been 3 years since the last Serious Sam game. I personally didn't like that one. Next up, we have Super Meat Boy 3D. That game was announced last year, and we've heard nothing about it until today. And yeah, it's getting dropped on the 31st of March. So announced that comes out so soon. That's going to be in day one on Game Pass. Next up, they announced Forever Ago, which is a adventure game. They announced next Ascent to Zero, which is a kind of an isometric action game. Next up, they announced, let's see, the Stalker 2 expansion called Cost of Hope. Looked really cool. Then they announced, let's see, Alien Deathstorm. By the way, as a game name, that's such a gamey name. Alien
Oh,
Deathstorm.
ADS, Alien Death
Yeah.
Store.
By the way, doesn't
Yeah.
doesn't Alien Deathstorm sound like a fake game from The Simpsons?
Yes, or like a B movie poster you'd see in a game.
Yeah. But yeah, so that looks cool. That's a Rebellion game, so it's probably going to be fun. Next up, you have Frog Squad. Not gonna lie, I have no idea what that is. Next up, you have Bluey's Happy Snaps. I'll say no more. Hades 2 got announced for Xbox. Really
Big
cool.
deal.
I know a lot of people have been wanting that. Next up, they announced Vaunted. By the way, that's spelt weirdly. Yeah, Vaunted. That's a third-person shooter. That's kind of like action-based XCOM. That was announced for PC, Xbox, but I'd be shocked if a game like that doesn't get announced for console. Next up, they announced The Eternal Life of Goldman. That game looks super cool. Really cool art style. So like, I'm sold on that. Brand new IP announced, got called Musa Dirty Fate. That's a third-person action adventure game. That looked bloody amazing. Dispatch finally got announced for Xbox. Finally. I know a lot of people have been waiting on that one. Next up, they announced, let's see. Oh, yeah. The Expanse Osiris Reborn. This game I can't stop talking about. It's a third person Mass Effect style game set in the Expanse universe. There's going to be a beta in April. The game comes out next year. That's the only disappointing news. But hey, take all the time they need. But that's going to be launching day one on Game Pass. Didn't see that one coming. Next up, they announced Hunter the Reckoning Death Wish. Logan, I know you're going to want to talk about that one.
Yeah, that one looks awesome. I can't wait for this. And um another BC tangent to tie it in, but for those who don't remember, on the original Xbox there was a series, Hunter the Reckoning, that was based off an old tabletop game series and books. And they made original Xbox games for those are based off that IP. And In Exile, the Interplay was actually the one who made the first game, which is Hunter the Reckoning. And then it is backwards compatible if you want to play it. It's really cool, fun. You can play with up to like 3 or 4 people. You have different classes, and you go around and try to fight in the supernatural world. And then a sequel, Hunter the Reckoning Redeemer, which is set in years later, and you play as a kid character grown up from the first game, and you go out and you fight all these evils and stuff. That one is not BC for some reason, but they should definitely fix that. And them making this third game is awesome. I can't wait for it. And it's from Nacon, so support the homies. They're good.
Yeah, so that looks good. I mean, I'm always up for a first person action game. Why not? Um, let's see what we got next. Oh yeah. Oh my god. If I sound like I'm confused today, it's because the image I've got on my phone just keeps disappearing. Right, here we go. Artificial Detective. It's a third-person action-adventure game where you play as an android detective set in a post-apocalyptic world. Needless to say, that game's directly aimed at me. Like, I whine on a daily basis about there not being enough sci-fi games. That looks good. I'm all over that. And that's also launching day one on Game Pass, I think. I have to double check. Let's see. I have the list next to me. Oh my god, the lists keep messing up on my phone. I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure Game Pass was announced around that. Next up, they announced, oh yeah, Stranger Than Heaven, new Sega game. It was announced 2 years ago at the Game Awards as Project Century. Then it had a new trailer shown off a couple of months ago where it looks phenomenal. It's basically made by the developers of the Yakuza games, third-person action adventure set in an open world. Arguably, I think that game's going to have a lot of eyes on it. By the way, it's launching day one in Game Pass. I honestly thought this game was going to be a next-gen thing. There was no release date mentioned. It looks like they are going to mention the release date in May, which isn't too long to wait. But yeah, this game looks amazing, and it's way more ambitious than I thought. I thought this was going to be basically the most open-world Yakuza-style game yet. Turns out it's set in 5 different cities across 5 different timelines, which I didn't think they'd do something like this. It looked like there was going to be mini games like you've seen in their past games. Looked like there's going to be romance, which we've had romance in past Yakuza games, but nothing that kind of looked like it was on show here. But man, it looks super good. And obviously action-based combat. I keep saying online that it reminds me of Sleeping Dogs just because of the interactive environment and stuff. That was one of the big things about Sleeping Dogs' as combat. Is the fact that you could literally interact with most of the environment no matter where you were in that game. And the fact that you can get on the tram and just sit and watch the environment as you go to your next destination. A small feature, but I like that stuff. I dig that. But yeah, it looks so good. If anything, I think as much as I'm a sci-fi guy, and I whine about, admittedly, I whine about the lack of sci-fi games, I think Stranger Than Heaven was the best game there. Stunning looking game. Love the art style. It's not trying to be super realistic. It's got a very unique look to it. And plus, you play as a detective in some of the timelines, which is really cool. But yeah, I'm sold on that. But again, that's Game Pass day one. honestly, that was a good spread of games. So the big ones for me was Musa, Dirty Fate, Stranger Than Heaven, The Expanse, and oh yeah, Artificial Detective. Overall, great show. Really good show. Logan, what do you think of the whole show? Because there was a lot of variety there.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Like you had fun little family party games like the frog game where you had you know, you got the big frog and he's just gluttonous and super hungry and he wants you and your little friends to go find him food and random objects in the sewer. And it's like a roguelite to where the environment changes all the time and every run is different. They had stuff like that. They had the basically the immortal old guy with a like crazy cane that adapts to all these different scenarios and as a almost it seemed almost kind of like a Hollow Knight type gameplay kind of stuff, really cool and cool art style. You had, The Expanse, which is scratches both the need for a Mass Effect type game and something else in The Expanse. So that's definitely something I'm interested in. Hunter I already mentioned, which I'm super excited for. The Alien game, we made a joke about the name, but that does sound really fun and look fun. I'm all for shooting aliens. Uh, Whatever, they're fun. And there was like a almost I almost thought it was like a Japanesey kind of Stardew Valley game mixed with like paranormal stuff as well. That was shown. That was pretty cool. And yeah, there was just such a variety. Like honestly, like I don't know how someone can come away and be a complete hater on the show. Like oh, maybe not everything was for everybody, but there was at least something for just about anybody. And Dispatch. Finally, we got that one. Group chats, you can end your hunger strikes. The wait is over. It is coming to Xbox. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, do you know what's funny, right? So when I was watching the announcement, my stream was about 2 minutes behind. And for some reason, people start liking my old post of talking about Dispatch.
Yeah, it's prophetic. Yeah.
Yeah, and look, I didn't know what was going to happen. It just seemed like, look, if you're an indie developer like them, and they announced the Switch version a month or two after, about 2 months after the game came out, like that studio almost went belly up, right? As successful as the game was, which is great, uh, that's an instance where the studio almost went belly up. They made a lot of money off the first game doing so well. They then start working on the Switch version, then the Xbox version. And people have replied to me saying too little, too late. Like this developer literally almost shut down before the game came out, right? So like, look, people will always be sour about this stuff. I just don't care. Like as long as the studio stays afloat. Look, there's games that come to Xbox first, and then PlayStation later. There's games that only go to Switch. Like Hades was on the Switch first. Hades 1 was massive. Hades 2 massive. So like a game coming to a platform slightly late doesn't bother me. It just happens. Like why cry over spilt milk? It's not a big deal. Dispatch looks cool. Need I say more? Now I do have the full list of Game Pass games that were there, so I'll quickly go through them. So Wuthering Waves, that is a free to play game, but it's going to have some Game Pass stuff like Zenless Zone Zero. If you download that and you have Game Pass, you got like some like items. Expanse Osiris Reborn, game of the century basically. You have Grave Seasons, Stranger Than Heaven, Super Meat Boy 3D, Forever Ago, Ascent to Zero, I love that name though, Alien Deathstorm. I can't get over it. By the way, if the developers ever listen to this podcast, when you do the release trailer, please, for the love of God, get the movie trailer guy from the 2000s to do the trailer. The In a World Where Ponies Live Outside, that type of thing, right? Get him to do the trailer for Alien Deathstorm. I love that name.
Coming May
Yeah,
2027.
yeah. I eat that
Yeah.
stuff up, right? I want that for game trailers. But that would just work so well. Next up, we have Fog Squad. Bluey's Happy Snaps, what a name. Musa Dirty Fate, The Eternal Life of Goldman. Again, that looks great. Vaunted and Hades 2. So that's a lot of Game Pass stuff there. So 13 games essentially. Honestly, good show. And I like shows where it's just, hey, trailer, 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 no talking at all, just the narrator, which I'm cool with. And turns out that was Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad. I knew he sounded familiar. Just didn't think he'd be doing that. For people that don't know, he also did the marketing for Titanfall 1 back in the day.
Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas fan as well.
Oh, yeah. But all in all, great show. Really good show. I think for me, the big ones though, like Logan, what's your take on the whole Expanse thing? Because that game was announced last year, it didn't leak at all. And the fact that we are getting a Mass Effect style RPG set in the Expanse universe of all things, the Expanse universe.
I'm so hyped for this. This is one of my most anticipated games. I love The Expanse. It's one of the best sci-fi series ever done, point blank. It is incredible.
Yep.
If you have not somehow seen this show, you should rectify that immediately. It is incredible. And just, it gives me hope maybe for that, Firefly restart that they're trying with the animated show now. Like maybe that can actually develop into something too. And it's just, I don't know, I'm just really, really happy we're getting more Expanse stuff. And the fact that they're making it a Mass Effect style game, and that them and the team behind Exodus are like hyping each other's games up is just really good sportsmanship.
Yeah.
And also just shows that, hey, we're all at the end of the day happy for more sci-fi stuff and cool RPGs, and let's get them both and enjoy them both.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, next year we're going to be having 2 Mass Effect style games. And for me, like, finally, I get something to eat. I think that's great, man. You know, I have been asked, like, in DMs, like, which one are you going to get? It's like, are you mad? Like,
I'm getting both.
yeah, like, I'm getting both day one. Absolutely. And The Expanse, like, look, I think The Expanse is, like, one of the most underrated like sci-fi universes ever.
hmm
After my last watch through of the show, I put that above Battlestar now. Yep.
I would agree. I love Battlestar. It was really good, but I mean that final season kind
Yeah,
of was a little rough, but it was awesome. But yeah, it's better.
yeah, and the fact that we're getting a Mass Effect style game before Star Trek. I'm not even going to talk about the state of Star Trek.
Oh, you have your One Tree Hill version though, Jamie.
Oh God, my God, I don't know what they were thinking. The fact that they just bit of a tangent. I know they just announced that season 2 is going to be the last season of Starfleet Academy. As a long-term Star Trek fan, this ain't it, Chief. Nope, nope. Like Star Trek Discovery has some things to really enjoy, right? This, I got a couple episodes in, I just couldn't do it. Yeah, not for me. But hey, we're getting it. By the way, you mentioned Firefly. Wouldn't it make more sense to do a Firefly game than an animated show? Maybe because I'm.
I've been saying like this dates me, but I remember when Game Informer back in the day used to do their top tens,
Yeah,
like every issue for like top 10 like weapons in games or side characters or villains or random stuff. Like they did 10 franchises that they would love to see adapted for a game. I remember even back then they wanted a Firefly game. And I thought, that is such a good idea. It feels like Outer Worlds has been like the closest thing
yeah,
to a Firefly type game. But yeah, like it feels like the animated series and a game would be just perfect choice for that IP.
yeah. I mean, just like if Nathan, I don't know who's in charge of Firefly. I assumed it was Disney. Maybe it's not. But like whoever's in charge, get someone to make a third-person Mass Effect style game, right? For the love of God, that would make money, right? Yes, and I miss Firefly. Don't get me wrong. I will eat up whatever animated show they put out, but man, I think a game would just like have so much more potential. Um, and thankfully, we are having a resurgence in Mass Effect style games. You have, Exodus, The Expanse, Cyrus Reborn, the next Mass Effect game, and uh, Fate of the Old Republic. Like, if we could add Firefly onto that list, my God in heaven, that'd be the best thing ever. But all in all, it was a good show. I really enjoyed the games there. Stranger Than Heaven. Yeah, I think that was the game of the show. Like, that's the Yakuza developer making something that's probably going to be like the peakiest of peak. And again, we find out the release date in May. But hey, great show. Now we still have a couple of topics left. Let's see. Oh, the Xbox Netflix thing. So it randomly popped up in my feed that Xbox might be changing some things. People have been talking to Asha Sharma behind the scenes that she wants to make Game Pass more appealing. Well, the games that are already in there is perfectly fine. They announced today a bunch of new games coming. It's like, what exactly do you announce? And one of the things that was brought up was price. I'm a huge Game Pass fan, but the price ain't it, right? People will unsubscribe to game services for prices. Netflix, it just announced today, Netflix in the US is going up in price. It seems like Netflix goes up in price a lot. But like Game Pass going up to the price it did is so necessary, right? By the way, how much money did the Fortnite deal cost? We don't know. I don't play Fortnite, so why am I paying for a Fortnite battle pass I don't use? And one of the things that you maybe want to bring down the price. That's great. But another thing that came up is that apparently she's talking to people from Netflix. Logan, you know more about this than me because it's been all over the place this past week.
Yeah, there was an interview with Asha Sharma and apparently folks connected to the situation, I guess, profile. In the information, I haven't been able to read the whole article, it's paywalled, but the gist of some of the stuff from it is that she has had several meetings with um the CEO leader of Netflix about ways to try to improve Game Pass and maybe do a partnership of some sort with Netflix cuz Game Pass has long been called the Netflix of gaming even though it's kind of an apple to oranges comparison. It's not really the same,
Yeah.
but it it works, I guess. And so there was stuff about that, and then pricing and potential tier changes is another thing that's being bandied around that they're really looking at. And as somebody who is still subscribed to Ultimate, like I kept my subscription because I know the rewards points I earn and the amount of money I save with deals on games every year, and like the cloud stuff and some of the other stuff made it to where overall it was worth it still. But I gotta tell you, as someone who has never played a single round of Fortnite and didn't have interest in the majority of the Ubisoft titles that were added, it just ain't it for justification. It's like, why should I have to pay $30 month? And part of it is, but you get this wonderful shiny thing. It's like, I don't give a flying flip about this. I've never played a match of this in my life. It's like, why don't you do variable pricing or like you can swap out things? Like for the Fortnite people, I'm sure this is a great deal and I'm happy for you. Fortnite away. But for the people who don't play it, like this is just like being given an anchor or dead weight to cost you more as justification. It makes no sense. It's not a benefit to me. It's just a negative. So, like, if they could make it to where instead of Fortnite bonuses, I get like maybe I don't know, like a World of Warcraft subscription. Like if they were to add World of Warcraft to a Game Pass hypothetically, or the Fallout 76 subscription thing, or a Netflix subscription, or just like a ton of extra rewards points or deals or exclusive features of some sort that you could pick and choose and build your own bundle. I think that would make way more sense than, yeah, we're just doing this because we decided to do a bag deal with Epic and you're just going to have to deal with it. Too bad, so sad. Like, no, there's a reason why people were ticked about that. It was a terrible idea.
Yeah. We have the first super chat of the day by Nick W. Thank you very much for the 4.99. He says, I would personally rather own my games. Game Pass is great for games. I would never give a chance otherwise. It should be no more than 20 for Ultimate. Yeah, I mean, look, I use like Logan said, like, I use the Ultimate, other than for, like, the online and, some newer titles. Like, I like taking advantage of the discount.
Yep, same.
The discount, like, for the amount I pay for games, I probably make that back. But yeah, I completely get it. Like, Game Pass is great. Don't get me wrong. Like, this isn't a knock on Game Pass from me. Like, I love Game Pass. I've been subscribed for years. Like, fun fact, and I used to mention this on my channel all the time. When Game Pass first came out, I never subscribed to it because for me, I had almost all the games in there. Right? You had the first
Same.
party stuff, and like the big third party games back when that came out in 2017 was Batman Arkham Knight, Alien Isolation, and I think the Bioshock collection or something like that, right? So, like, at the time, there wasn't really any reason for me to subscribe, but there was value there for people that didn't. But like now, like, yeah, I get to have my online stuff, which is nice. The Ubisoft catalog of games which I haven't played, that's cool. But I completely get, like, the whole, like, wanting to own games thing, and because of Game Pass, I spend more money on other games. So, like, it's like I don't want to say it pays for itself for me, but like it just it helps me play more games.
Hmm.
And like, I've bought games I never would have otherwise because I'm saving money. But I completely get the sentiment behind it. Like hell, like my friend that I play Call of Duty with, who always mainly only used to play Call of Duty. Now he dabbles in, like, big single player. He's playing Final Fantasy VII Remake at the minute, right? Loving it. Like, he went and got the dual pack of Seven and Rebirth, right? Because he's getting into physical games now, right? And I've noticed this a lot on Xbox and PlayStation fans, right? They are getting into buying physical media again. Um, Personally, I see value in physical media still. Um, I think that. By the way, I don't know if the same thing happened in the US, but like in the UK a while ago, vinyl records actually outsold CDs because of the people going back and collecting. Because there's a lot of people in the UK collecting vinyl again, right? So like it outsold CDs, and I thought, oh, that's really cool. Like, not, I don't really listen to vinyl, but like I thought that was such a cool thing. And I think the same thing's happening with video games, where now you have a lot of people looking at physical media again. Like, or even owning movies, right? I have 20/20 vision. I can perfectly see the difference between a 4K Blu-ray and a 4K live stream or a 4K
Hmm.
stream, right? So for me, like, I like to get 4K movies still. Um, and with video games, I see the value there as well, so I completely get it. Um, and you're right that, like, by the way, how much is Game Pass Ultimate in the US a month?
It's like $30 a month.
Jeez, yeah, it needs to be less.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it
what
needs.
I'm saying. It's bull.
Yeah, yeah, it needs to be less. Like increasing the value is one thing that's cool, but I think you should only increase the value of something if you're not raising the price, right? There's a thing called goodwill. You know, if you make a service better for the same price, people will talk about it. But if you increase the price of a service, like, look, I don't play Fortnite. I have no intention of using that battle pass, but I have a battle pass I'm not going to use, right? Why could if they were going to inject, value, why not give me the Call of Duty Battle Pass or some COD coins, right? Which wouldn't cost them anything because they wouldn't have to make a deal with Epic. But if Asher Sharma's wanting to like increase value but or like lower the cost, that's great, right? I know some people have brought up how they might include Netflix. I can't see that happening. Just because Netflix is constantly going up in price, I can only imagine that the deal they would have to make with a company like Netflix, that would be like hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. I just can't see it happening. But if they're going to lower the price of Game Pass, cool. But the interesting thing was that other than lowering the price of Game Pass, maybe would be competitively pricing their products in the future. Because we've all been talking about, next gen it's going to cost an arm and a leg and a blood diamond because the RAM situation. But like, what if that isn't the case? That would be bloody nice, I just think that gaming's always been a luxury, but like the fact that people shouldn't be talking about gaming as they are with like things like jewelry, right? Super expensive stuff, right? Gaming should be fun. It should be broad appeal, and you can't do that if it's super expensive, right? So if the next PlayStation and Xbox are like $1,000 each, I personally think that's a joke, right? 500 is a nice sweet spot. I'm not saying they're going to be. I'm not naive, but I'm just saying that these consoles and the prices people are predicting just won't sell. And as a bit of a tangent, I think the jump to next gen on both consoles is going to be the longest longest upgrade cycle for any console ever. Right? We still have games going on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. People are still on last gen, perfectly happy. So how long are people going to be on this gen for? Because next gen, to me, feels a bit soon. So they're gonna have to be competitive with the pricing. They're gonna have to be competitive with the I was gonna say with the Netflix, but with the Game Pass. And look, the first party games coming out this year, great. I'm sure next year is gonna be great as well. But for the love of God, we need cheaper products, right? Like the Xbox Series S is an introductory device, good price, right? You can't go from having something like that to a $1,000 device, in my opinion. And we'll see what she does. Everything she does right now is all just words. We need to see actions, and that's always going to be the case. But I like what I'm hearing so far, and that's good. Now, Logan, you want to talk about backwards compatibility? Because, like, by the way, the past couple of days I've just been running through different IP that Microsoft owns or games from their back catalogue. So, like, I mentioned the Transformers games. Last night I mentioned Bethesda's third-person action-adventure game, Wet. I assumed most people haven't heard of that game. A lot of the replies, people had some nostalgia for it. Unfortunately, as I mentioned before, my game store had the worst selection of games, so like I never got a chance to play it. I will try and pick it up now. But like that's a game people want brought back, and it's a game that should be backwards compatible, but isn't. Logan, do you want to talk about that for a minute while I go feed my cat?
Yeah, sure.
Right.
I'll talk about Wet. Yeah, Wet was a game that was originally published by Bethesda. I do not know if they still have the rights to it. Like, I remember there was some weird article about it years ago, but I mean, it's been so long ago, I can't remember, but I think they still do. But yeah, it was a like grindhouse, grimy, super jazzy music, like crazy cell shaded, like blood splashes, like Kill Bill type Tarantino, like over the top, fights and violence and just crazy music, gunplay, ninja acrobatics, and kung fu, and like you're just this total awesome heroine, you know, uh, femme fatale, and she is just awesome. I think her name was Ruby, if I remember correctly. And she's just super cool. And it was just, there was very few things like it, if anything. And it became a cult classic. It wasn't like a gargantuan hit, but it was another sign of that era when people were audacious and would put stuff out there and be creative and unique and truly go for it. Go balls to the wall nuts on stuff.
Yeah.
Like back in that era, we also had things like Manhunt, Conquer, like some other stuff that I don't think studios would have the balls to do anymore, frankly. Um, and it's just like, if nothing else, it should be the team at Xbox and others, Night Dive, people like that, have mentioned like gaming is an art, it's a cultural thing, and it's also a responsibility of these companies and publishers and game studios to preserve these things and bring them forward so others can experience them and as like some modicum of a different era and like people can see a peek into the past and like experience it for themselves the first time and carry it forward and see like okay, this was very much a 2007 vibe personified compared to a 2026 vibe. And it's a perfect example of that. And I think that one is absolutely one that should come back via backwards compatibility. Because, one, if Bethesda still does in fact own the rights, then you own it. It should just happen and it if nothing else than to preserve the art of it because it is so crazy and out there and like I would guarantee you like modern gamers who aren't as familiar with that generation if they played that I don't think they'd know what hit them. It would be like a semi truck.
Yeah.
They would be so shocked by what this thing is. And I think it's super cool and they should bring back that and all the games they can. And yeah, it was just also an era where we had cool licensed games like Reign of Fire, for example.
Oh yeah.
Really cool dragon movie with Matthew McConaughey and I can't
Christian
remember
Bale.
who else was. Oh yes, just killer cast. It's basically post-apocalyptic Britain and they are doing construction and then dragons have been sleeping this whole time and they come out and destroy everything and it's got tanks, helicopters, military, dragons. It's just epic and over the top ridiculous, and they made an OG Xbox game of it too.
Yeah, I've got
That
that.
would be an awesome one for backwards compatibility as well. Like bring back all the licensed stuff you can or non-licensed, just preserve things that are unique and are a testament to the era and time because there are too many things that are getting lost to history and dying in obscurity that don't deserve that fate.
Yeah. You mentioned Rain of Fire, man. That takes me back.
It's so cool. Like 13-year-old me watching that movie, I'm like, dude, this movie is so badass.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Post-apocalyptic UK. Kind of like now, just without the dragons. Um,
Oh hell
yeah.
yeah.
The police at my door right now. Um, but yeah, oh man, what a shame that that's not backwards compatible. I miss old licensed games. Like, remember Spider-Man 2?
Oh yes, and you remember in Spider-Man 1 when you could do the cheat code and become the Goblin
Yeah.
or do behind the mask and you played in first person and completely changed the game. So fun.
Yeah. Can you remember how in the first one you'd swing, you swing from the clouds?
Oh yeah.
Like, that was
Yeah, that
so
was
cool.
funny. Yeah.
There was the Buffy the Vampire Slayer games as well.
Oh, those would be huge right now, especially with the series getting killed, the
Yeah.
reboot. Let them play the games.
Yeah, just so many titles. Like I wouldn't even mind the bad ones, right? Like I found out
There's
about this.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is another one that was
Yeah,
actually received for.
like I found out a year ago, and I only found out about it because I was in the store when I saw it on the shelf. There was a Hellboy game on 360.
Oh man, I bet that was a trip.
Yeah, I put it on, and I'm not even kidding. Terrible, awful game. Like, so bad. We have another super chat by Nick W for 199. He says, Logan, did you finish RE9? What did you think of it?
Yeah, I loved it. It's my game of the year so far.
So far. Honestly, I think with the games that's coming out this year, there's a lot of big games coming out. I think that game of the year. I'm saying this as someone that hasn't played RE9, but that's because I'm a scaredy cat. Although I'm starting Resident Evil 7 next week. I think RE9 is probably going to clear house at the Game Awards and all of the other award ceremonies. Like, Grand Theft Auto is going to get praised no matter what, but I think Resident Evil 9, just the impact it's had, like, everyone's talking about the story and just like how over the top the action is when you play as Leon and how good Grace's horror elements are. Like, I think the way people are talking about that game, I would be shocked if that doesn't win Game of the Year. It just seems like such a shoe-in for it. And it's a bit sad that, like, Grand Theft Auto de facto has to win. I think that's a bit of a shame. But I really do think that, Resident Evil 9, I think James Bond has a high chance as well, because that game looks fantastic. Can't
Has
really think.
everybody even? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking of other big games. Like, what were we saying?
I was just gonna say, has anyone considered the fact maybe it won't be that good? Like, is there a possibility that it's really just like everybody assumes, but you know what they say about assuming?
Yeah.
Like, what if it really isn't that great? Like, what if it's not?
Do you want to hear something controversial? I don't think
What?
GTA 5 was that good.
I liked 4 better.
4 was better.
Maybe I am crazy, but
Like,
I liked 4 better.
4's story was better. I think I just enjoyed the city more.
Mhm.
The multiplayer was good, as in no shark cards. I felt that a lot of the map in 5 was underutilized. And I will never forgive Rockstar for getting rid of single player expansions. Maybe I'm salty. But I think that 5 was a step down. I really do. 4 had this grit to it, like this raw grit to it, where the stories felt super intense. It did have its goofiness still, but like 4 felt like an actual gangster movie, whereas 5, it just felt like I don't know, it felt over the top. It felt more like Saints Row to me, and I like Saints Row, but yeah, I mean, you're right. Look, guessing 5 is going to be the best game of all time ever. To me, it seems like a safe bet. Like all the journalists, right? If you're a journalist, right, at IGN, GameSpot, or whatever, that game comes out, right? You give it high scores, you're going to get all the views, right? But on the flip side, if everyone else is giving it a 10 and you give it a 4, you are also going to get insane views. So, like, I think when that game comes out, we're going to see some, like, super high scores and some, like, 5s, right? Just for the view's sake. But, yeah, I do think Resident Evil 9 will probably... And then you have Crimson Desert. But I think Crimson Desert, it being an open world game might... I don't know. But everything I've seen so far of Resident Evil 9, just people talking about, like, today, half my feed is Resident Evil memes. People are cosplaying as Leon Kennedy and Grace, right? Just stuff like that. And it's like, this feels like a Resident Evil game that became a gaming event, whereas, like, a gaming event is a Grand Theft Auto launches, a Elder Scrolls launches, right? Resident Evil 9 had that kind of launch, advertising everywhere. We had buses in Durham with Resident Evil posters on the side, which you typically don't see a lot. But yeah, I think RE9 is going to clear house, and hopefully I will be getting to it this year because I'm determined. As my friend said, if I can play Silent Hill 2, I can do Resident Evil.
Baby steps, Jamie. Baby steps. We'll get
baby
there.
steps. And my God, just playing through 7 originally in VR. It wasn't even that long. I played it for about 30 minutes in VR. That was enough to scare the living hell out of me. I learned my lesson. But hey, back to backwards compatibility quickly. If we see a batch this year, one of the reasons why I do think we could see a batch is because it hasn't been completely written off. People from Xbox in the past have said, "Hey, don't get your hopes up," or stuff like that. Nobody's messaged me saying, "Hey, Jamie, there's no BC games coming." Is that hopium? Yes. With a dash of copium? Yes. But you know what? There's plenty of games there, and for the love of God, the Activision batch has to be real. I don't care what anyone says. Like, the fact that they have a bunch of Activision games just sitting on a server somewhere annoys the living hell out of me. The fact that we have all these Call of Duty games that aren't backwards compatible. Like, I found out the other day because of that, the backwards compatibility website, that I had no idea. And I was going to say AC2 for some reason. Call of Duty 2 was also on the original Xbox. I had no idea. And that was back when ports had different versions. It's like a port of, like, let's say, Splinter Cell. What do you call it? Double Agent on the original Xbox was a completely different game than the one on the 360. Similar thing with Call of Duty titles. But what do you know? Anyway, let's move on. We still have a couple left before we close out the show. You know what? Let's see. Did we talk about Starfield last week? We did, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. You know what? We'll talk about this quickly. So, Starfield. You know what? Actually, this is a better topic. AI. AI has been the bane of my existence for months now. I'm getting tired of it, right? Every time I open my feed, it's not just content, it's just people talking about it. I'm sick of it. I'm sure a lot of people are getting sick of it as a topic. It's the reason why we have the RAM apocalypse at the minute. It's the reason why storage is going up in price. And about a year ago, when all this stuff started taking off, I said that I think this whole thing is a bubble. I think it's like the early 2000s where everyone was making a website, but they had no way to monetize it, right? You had cafes popping up where they had a website as a business, but it wouldn't generate money because no one knew how to generate money back then. And this was the early 2000s. And then the dot-com bubble burst, and it all went away, right? I've been saying for the past year, I think the same thing is going to happen with the AI crap. And it looks like that might be the case. So OpenAI is losing money daily, thankfully. And it's a beautiful thing. I don't like to see people out of work, but my God in heaven, this needs to go away. Wikipedia has banned use of any AI written on the entire website. Videogamer.com. Now, Videogamer.com is a huge game media outlet in the UK. And they actually got rid of most of their workforce back in February and replaced most of their writers with AI who didn't play the games. So you had these programs reviewing games they didn't play. Absolutely sacrilege. And bear in mind, their scores were listed on Metacritic. So they've been pulled from Metacritic, and also they've been pulled from Google. I've never seen that, by the way. Never seen that as a repercussion before. So, like, you Google them, they don't come up. And that's how a lot of people actually go to web pages. Isn't that crazy? Like, they just go to Google and type in the website rather than type in the web address themselves. So that happened. And, like, a bunch of AI companies are shutting down. So, you know that scene from the end of Return of the Jedi where they're all celebrating? That's myself.
Oh, yeah, that's with the Ewoks, yeah.
And in the redone versions in the 2000s where you have people partying in Coruscant and everywhere else, right? That's happening with the AI. And I cannot wait for the demise of all this crap. It's all sludge. I don't care what anyone says. You have people that champion this on a daily basis. And yeah, making it for a meme, fair enough, right? Making a funny video of a cat playing like the saxophone at 2 a.m. outside someone's house, that's funny. But when you're trying to make legitimate content and argue that it's going to replace movie making, laughable. And the fact that these companies are going the way of the dodo makes me really happy. And hopefully, over the next year, when we see these other companies shut down, hardware will go back to its normal prices. We won't have to act like it's the end of the world and you're going to be looking for RAM like it's Mad Max in the search of water during an apocalypse. It looks like things might go back to normal, which is really nice. Logan, what's your take? Because it's been long and overdrawn out over the past year. This whole all these AI data centers coming up, buying all this RAM, and they've had nowhere to make money because you have people making memes, not putting any money towards these companies. Like I've used stuff to get like I use an AI sharpening tool for some thumbnail stuff just because like on podcasts I tend to have images of people that are far away, but I use an upscaler. That's a completely different thing. But like these companies that I use make money via ad revenue, via adverts on the app, right? But these AI programs, there's no way to monetize it other than people subscribing to an absurd, subscription that's like $100 a month, and nobody's buying it. Nobody's paying for these programs, and it's a beautiful thing. And yeah, I might be
Yeah,
reaching by saying hardware going back to normal prices, but let me have this one. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's been absurd. The tech bubble is collapsing on this initiative. You see what's happening with OpenAI and Altman. And like there was an article today that basically accused the article accused him of basically running a Ponzi scheme
yep.
and a whole bunch of stuff that's spicy and like other tech influencers are done with this idea. It looks like in hindsight, it's good that Microsoft didn't fully acquire them and, all that when they potentially had the opportunity to. They can use that money on Xbox and some other things, thankfully. And maybe nature is healing finally, fighting back. We're in the stereotypical section in an anime where nature bands together to destroy the great evil, and it's this tech bubble thing, and it's good. Like I don't think AI is inherently evil or good. I think it's a tool you can use, and you can do good things with it, or you can do not good things with it. But I just think the obsession and chasing of it and more was causing problems and creating things to where people were like, dude, I don't want anything to do with this. This is just gross. Like, we talked about the DLSS 5 thing and how it's like, what have you done to Grace? Like, what is this? And it's just awful. And then like Disney pulled out, which was huge. Like if that's not the death knell for this, then it's on life support because they were going to partner for Star Wars, Marvel, all this Disney stuff to make content. And it was one of Bob Iger's last deals he did. And the
Huh.
new CEO got in charge and he looked at it and he's like, oh my gosh, this is awful. We are getting out of this business immediately. And one of his big first actions as CEO was to basically kick Altman to the door. And then Sora is shut down and it's been a mess.
Do you want to hear the wildest headline? I have to PGify this just for my channel, but I think people can get.
Okay.
Uh, I can't believe this is a thing. Hold on. Oh god, I have to find this headline. Sorry, this is the thing I don't like about Twitter. It'll like refresh itself when you see a really cool meme.
I know, and I hate it so much, and I spent an hour trying to find it again.
Yeah, I try and do that thing where you try and bookmark it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's
Um,
smart.
but let's see. Okay, right. I'm trying to PGify this. So OpenAI is no longer go ahead with the adult centric mode because investors are worried. Right? I'm not an
Who
investor.
thought AI created content.
Yeah,
AI fans.
yeah,
Who thought AI fans was a good idea?
yeah. And like, as someone that isn't an investor in $1 billion uh company, I could tell you investors would never invest in that stuff. Like, no chance in hell, because you can't market that stuff, not to the mainstream. Like, but like, the fact that this is blown back in all the faces, it's a wonderful thing. It really is. Um, and like you said, like it's not 100% evil. Like like procedural generation, for like Starfield and just other big games, right? They can use it like that in the future. But like what that DLSS 5 thing did, a crime, a crime against humanity. I don't know what they were thinking. Oh, by the way, do you know the day after that happened, and everyone was memeing it? Nvidia's GeForce Twitter account start posted about DLSS 4 again. Like it was the
I wonder why.
yeah.
Oh, did you see their CEO walked it back too? And
Yeah,
basically he said everybody was a moron and should step back and like they don't know what they're talking about. Then he's like, "Okay, you're right. I don't like slop either, guys. All right. How you doing, fellow kids?" It was like memeage. It was just
I just can't imagine like if you're a developer, right? Because bear in mind, Capcom had no idea. Like they knew that there was going to be Resident Evil stuff shown, but they didn't know what was going to be shown. So imagine you've made Resident Evil 9, right? You've poured 4 years of blood, sweat, and tears into this game, right? You make probably some of the best visuals of any game ever, right?
it's gorgeous, yes.
And you have Nvidia go over it with this slop filter. Like, honestly, if I saw that done to my work, I'd probably be in tears. Like, why would you do that? you know, um, like, I don't. Has anyone really looked at Resident Evil 9 and thought, you know what, this game's ugly? Nobody's thought that. But that filter, I just can't get over it, and the memes are still flowing. I love it. But thankfully, it would be an optional thing for developers, but I think developers are going to stay the hell away from that. You know, I originally thought old games, like I'll mention Dragon Age Origins at every opportunity because that game looked dated the day it came out. Uh, could it work with games like that? I honestly don't think it would because it'd probably just. I can't even imagine. Like I've seen what it did to some of the characters from Oblivion. Nightmare material. So with like early 360 style graphics, it probably just makes things worse. So yeah, steer away. We don't need it. I know some people don't like frame generation. This is a completely different kettle of fish. But man, absolute mess. You know what, Logan? Have you got anything else to say before we close out the show? Because we actually went through every topic.
Oh, all I was gonna say is like there's a big O difference between using AI to instead of having one poor intern having to make 1,000 trees for a forest, like having somebody procedurally generate a whole bunch of trees or something that
Yeah.
somebody already designed versus, taking Grace's face and going, "This is Grace and this is Grace at home." Or basically Timuing it is just like, what are we doing here? So there is a big difference.
Yeah. But hey, I think that these developers, it's an option for them, and like from developers I've spoke to, they have no intention of using this crap. like,
I wonder if their stock plummeted after that.
I'd be shocked if it didn't. Like to roll out, like this was Nvidia's worst rollout ever of tech. Stuff like this is stuff we'd see in like the next generation of consoles, the big tech demo stuff. But what happened? What happened last week? These console manufacturers, they can't show that kind of tech ever again, right? Until it's something completely different. I'd be shocked if Nvidia's stock didn't drop. You know, they've had a rough time over the past couple of years because the graphics card problem, the fact that shaders the shader issue on PC is a big problem. I think that Nvidia, they need to get the stuff together. they'll be fine. But my God, for a rollout of a new piece of software, couldn't have gone worse if they tried at all. But hey, I'm sure things will be less crap in the future. Just developers probably not going to use this. In fact, I know people keep saying that it'll just be an option in games. I think you're going to have it so game developers will stop this from being able to be used in games. You know, because if you
Wouldn't
put a
shock me.
screenshot out there in the wild and it looks weird, that kind of harms the game's reputation. You know, the reason why we have photo modes in a lot of games, it's not because they like the pretty art we make, the pretty screenshots. It's because it's free advertising. That's all it is. You know, but if you have these screenshots and gameplay clips floating around where the characters look like they've some Instagram filter, people are going to be less interested in playing that game. So, yeah. But we'll see what happens. But again, everyone in chat's been amazing. We had the show today instead of Tuesday because I got a little bit sick, and the game preview thing was most of the topics anyway. We'll be back for a new episode next Tuesday, usual time. For people that are living in the UK and Europe, our clocks go forward on Sunday, so times will be back to normal. You would think me doing it a podcast at 10 p.m. as opposed to 11 would be better. Turns out, doing a podcast most of the year at 6 p.m. has just completely changed how my internal clock works. So, like, this week, last week, and the week before, when the clocks changed in the US, it's been a nightmare for me. Because going earlier is worse for me, apparently. Who would have thought? But Logan, it's been great doing the show with you once again. Everyone in chat has been great. Again, back to normal time. Next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UK. Hope everyone has a good week, everybody. We are out. Peace. And once again, my mouse died. Every time the show's about to end, my mouse dies. But anyway, we're back for a new episode, 6 p.m. And by the way, I should be having a new video out over the weekend. Hope you enjoy it. If you're looking forward to new titles, I've got you covered. Anyway, peace, everybody. We're out.